Ahoy! And welcome to the Boating Hour with Captain Rick. The Boating Hour brings you the latest and greatest essential information about everything that sails, floats, or motors upon the high seas of Southern California. From landlubbers to old salts, there'll be something for everyone. So climb aboard and get ready to sail with Captain Rick.
Ahoy out there and welcome to the Boating Hour. I'm Captain Rick and I want to thank you for joining us here on AM 870. We're here every Saturday at 4 p.m. Please be sure to visit us on the web at theboatinghour.com and now on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble, The Boating Hour with Captain Rick. Thanks to our sponsors for our show today. For a healthy gut, the best probiotic on the market, Livia One Probiotic, natural, organic, and allergen-free. And Raycom radios, reliable two-way radio communications without drop and dead zones. If you're in business, you want Raycom radios. And I'm back today with my guest from last week, Wendy. Thanks for coming back in today, in-studio guest. Wendy, thanks for coming back.
Captain Rick, thank you so much for having me this afternoon. Glad to be here.
I want to start out with plugging your site, csmma.org, stands for... What does CS stand for?
California Sailing Merchant Mariner Academy.
.org.
.org. We are an organization designed for boaters to get cruising assistance through our U.S. Sailing Safety at Sea seminar, which is the last weekend in April, April 26th and 27th. We're designed for persons who want to move into professional boating by getting captain's licensing and being able to work in the maritime industry.
I had someone from the maritime. I think I mentioned it last week. I'd like to get somebody else on. But I want to plug the Coast Guard Auxiliary, United States Coast Guard Auxiliary, called the Hooligan Navy. They were the Hooligan Navy. And on the eastern seaboard, the sailors that weren't in the, when World War II started for us, they weren't in any of the military services, and they were in their sails, and they were the ones that spotted the submarines. When Germany sent over submarines to our eastern seaboard, that they discovered them. So that was how the Coast Guard Auxiliary, they called them the Hooligan Navy. And they've got a very important part. They're the civilian volunteers. They have positions, not rank. And we learn to assist the Coast Guard from boater safety to patrols in the ocean. Now that the Coast Guard's down a little bit on recruiting, we help from Watch Standard, which is monitoring all the emergency radios at the base. You're going to see a lot of Coast Guard auxiliarists. They're in the galley, either on the ships if they're trained or, at the base. At the commissary. So Coast Guard Auxiliary we're going to be at the hall shows. You're going to see a booth for the Coast Guard Auxiliary at the hall shows coming up. I'm going to talk all about that next week. So he's got a show January, February, March, and one in September. So he was my New Year's show. So, Wendy, we're going to talk to you about joining with the booth because I'm hoping to get a double booth. I may do some shows at the hall shows. So I want to talk to you about having a little display on our table about what you do with csmma.org.
That sounds very exciting, and I would be thrilled to join you.
Of course, Bart Hall, keeping the tradition open, the legacy of his father. He's actually been running these shows for, at least a decade. I forgot how long he said. His father passed away a while ago. Originally, they were the outdoor boat and camping shows, evolved into the Fred Hall. That was his father. The Fred Hall show started in 1947, and then he changed it from Fred Hall to Bart Hall when he started up again after the lockdowns from the COVID years. And now he's doing a wonderful thing. He's got shows coming up in Pomona, but the one coming up right now in a couple weeks is at the in Long Beach, so the Long Beach Convention Center. So there's a lot of exciting stuff, and the hall shows, we'll talk about that. We got a lot of exciting stuff coming up for the Armed Forces Parade. I'm going to be talking to Coasties. This year, the Army is the 250-year anniversary of the Army.
Wow.
So this is a very important Torrance Armed Forces Parade on Armed Forces Day, and that's a week before Memorial Day. Memorial Day weekend, Fleet Week at the Battleship Iowa. So Coast Guard Auxiliary, we got a lot of stuff we're going to be talking about, but let's get back to you, Wendy. So we started talking about your history. For anyone that didn't listen to the show, give us a summary of that, and let's go into what you teach. Tell me, I want to know a lot about instruction. A lot of people get out on their boats with no instruction. and then they do something wrong, or someone falls overboard, or they crash their boat, and then they start getting an instruction. So let's talk about how important it is to learn the safety protocols and to learn how to operate your boat, and what it takes to be. A lot of people are afraid of sailing until they take a class or two. So give me a little brief introduction for anyone that didn't listen to the show last week, and let's talk a lot about the Academy and you being an instructor.
So, instruction. We can learn through the School of Life, or we can learn with assistance through some of our major educational support organizations for instruction in the United States. The largest sailing instruction program in the United States is American Sailing. It used to be called American Sailing Association. They not only have a branch that does sailing instruction, but they've also branched out into American Boating, which is powerboat instruction.
They're not ASA anymore?
They are American Sailing.
Oh, okay.
As of 2025. And they are also American Boating, which is our power boat instruction
excellent
portion. And I actually teach for both. So the hierarchy is, Rick, you, the student, come in to American Sailing, and you say, I would like instruction, and then you have an instructor. And the instructor comes by and has a course curriculum that he provides for you in real time on a boat, actually getting physical instruction. The instructor needs training, so the instructor then requires a master instructor to create, say, for example, you want to become a sailing instructor. We bring in a master instructor through an instructor qualifier clinic, and the master instructor then trains you to be an instructor. And then, of course, we have senior master instructors, and the senior master instructors train the master instructors. There are 29 senior master instructors in the United States, of which I have the honor of being one of 4 women across the United States to be a senior master instructor for American Sailing and also for American Boating, which is both sailing instruction and power boating instruction. So honored to be in that position. It's an amazing worldwide organization, and you can find American Sailing anywhere in the world.
Let's give a little tribute, a shout out to the women. One of my favorite shows, Captain, oh my goodness, I'm forgetting her name. I got to look this
Kate
up.
McCrew.
No, I'm talking about, I had she was a speaker at ASA in Marina del Rey. That's how I met her. And she is on the tall ships. She's a captain on the tall ship, runs the tall ship. She was in college, and she never been on a boat. She didn't grow up on a boat, but she went to the tall ships, and now she's in San Pedro, and she's an instructor, and she's a captain, 100-ton captain, running the tall ships where the kids come out. I got to look that show up and invite her back on. I'm embarrassed. I can't remember her name. That was a while ago. And there's a lot of women now in sailing, in boating. You see them as captains running ships. You see them in the Coast Guard. I had Master Chief. So I had Master Chief of the Coast Guard that was actually, she got promoted as Master Chief, the highest ranking, for the enlisted, and was in the Coast Guard. And she, at the Armed Forces Parade in 23, when the Coast Guard was a featured branch, and there were tears. Her family was there, and it was at the end of the parade. Everybody was crying. I got to get her on the show. And right now, I'd like to get Captain Creasy on the show, too, who is now the base commander at the Coast Guard base in L.A. Long Beach. So a lot of women have really done a lot. They've accomplished quite a bit. You see them in sailing, boating. You see them in the armed forces. I had Captain Walsh from the Space Force, last year's Space Force, which evolved out of the Air Force. So she was the base commander in El Segundo. So I had her on. So you see a lot of women that are really accomplishing a lot. And the WSA, I think I've talked about them a little bit. The WSA has got a lot of women involved in sailing and have some great clinics and some wonderful sailors. So women are doing a lot. So let's talk more about you being an instructor. What does it take to be a master instructor? How long did that take you, and how did you evolve into that?
So I came to American Sailing Association as an educator, took those skills as an educator, and applied it to my love of sailing. The beauty of it is I started sailing instruction when I was 19, and I'm now more mature than that, and have moved forward to the position of senior master instructor. ASA is a combination of academics, language, study, skill development, and now, of course, my career. You mentioned it, LAMI, Los Angeles Maritime Institute.
That was it.
LAMI is the organization that's in charge of the tall ship program here in San Pedro. Please visit them. They're amazing. I am also one of the tall ship captains on the LAMI boats, on the Irving and the Exie. So one of my peers, there's fabulous women captains in that organization as well. Please come and volunteer for LAMI. They're fabulous. However, my background in sailing, I started just as getting in a boat and sailing with no instruction at all. And when I decided, a friend across the dock said, "You're an amazing educator. Why don't you move into the field of sailing instruction?" That was a whole new challenge. It was learning different skills, different language, and then being able to talk, walk, and chew gum at the same time. Now the beauty of it is, as a senior master instructor, I get paid to ride around on boats. All I have to do is talk to people. And I see marvelous results as people actually, their eyes are open wide, their eyebrows lift up, they get a huge smile on their face, because we could take a person as a beginning sailor who's never been on a boat before, has some intimidation of the boat, heeling and getting wet, moving fast, and moving them from that position to high. Consider the possibility of becoming an instructor. And it's just phenomenal to watch people transition from beginning sailing all the way up to master instructors. And it's just a joy to work with an international organization, ASA, and assist with creating instruction possibilities for our worldwide sailing organization.
One of the things that I'm working on with Raycom radios, we're going to start doing some educational. We're going to start doing some educational projects, maybe at the hall shows with Bart Hall. But we're going to be teaching how to get your ham license, the different kinds of radios. So Raycom radios, we got a lot of exciting things coming up. So what I should do is have a lunch meeting with you, come down to their facility and talk about how we can have some of these clinics where we're teaching people to get their ham license, some of the scouts, talk about all the different kinds of radio communications. And we got to get you together to develop an educational program. He teaches people when he has clients and customers how to use radio for your event. But also ham radio is an exciting thing. So we're gonna do something with that. All right, let's talk about the sailing clubs. Who are the people that come to the classes?
It's interesting. The community of people that are coming to American Sailing Academy's courses, ASA courses, are from all walks of life. And the beauty of that is when a person comes and we see that they possibly want to become an instructor, then that requires a United States Coast Guard license. And the beauty of that program is that I have created a curriculum where I'm working with American Sailing for the operator of uninspected passenger vessels limited, which means we take a person, say, for example, like yourself, who has gone through sailing instruction and wants to become a sailing instructor. And then what we do is we create a licensing and training program for you with a U.S. Coast Guard certified license so that you go from Captain Rick to really Captain Rick.
Okay. I'm going to have to go through that program.
And we then... California Sailing Merchant Marine Academy offers the OUPV, Operator of Uninspected Passenger Vessel Limited License. We offer a sailing endorsement for vessels up to 100 tons. We offer, we'll soon be offering the OUPV, or what used to be called the six-pack, which is a license that you're allowed to carry 6 paid passengers for hire, towing endorsement, and then, of course, the highest accreditation that we can offer is the MMC, in other words, California Merchant Mariner Sailing Academy. The MMC license is the Merchant Mariner license, which allows you to operate a vessel from 25 tons to 100 tons, which leads us back to LAMI because the LAMI boats are 100-ton vessels.
I got to tell you a great little story of one of my favorite guests of all time. I had twin sisters from Florida. They are captain. They are boat brokers, and they're twins in Florida. But this was a whole show, and I had them on. Someone brought me to them. They were competitive equestrians in their teen years, and they evolved, Olympic caliber international equestrians. And they're twins living in Florida, and they decided they wanted to go into boating. And their father, along with his twin girls, they restored a Boston whaler.
Wow.
And the dad said, we're done with this boat. I'm going on vacation. You can take the boat out, but don't go out. Florida's a little different. I don't want you out in the open ocean. So I guess it takes you about a half hour to get there. I'm not really sure on the inland. So they were my guests. And here's how it went. Dad went on vacation, and they took the boat out. Of course, what did they do? They went out in the open ocean, and they were flying at full board, full throttle, in the air, flying through the air, two beautiful girls in a bikini. And it went viral. Someone filmed them. Wavy Boats, which films a lot of exciting stuff out there in the Keys and in Florida. It went viral. Dad was, I don't know where he was. He was, Bahamas or Mexico or somewhere. His friend says, aren't these your daughters? So it got a couple million views. So Dad's looking at his daughters with the several million people around the world. It went viral instantly. Comes home and tells his daughters, what did I tell you not to do? He said, well, not go out in the ocean. He said, did you go out in the ocean? Well, not really. And he shows them this viral video. They didn't even know. It turned out, he said, look, I want you to learn how to get out there. I want you to get your captain's license. And they made a deal with Wavy Boats. They got sponsored.
Wow.
And they're now, they're fantastic. So they were twins, Ariana and Sophia. Sophia got her captain's license and went to work as a boat broker. She sold a dozen boats. Her first big sailboat, a hunter, like our friend Kathy St. Amant has. She sold a hunter, competitive hunter, and they're now teaching. So that was my story of the two young gals that got into boating, learned how to do it, and Dad, instead of punishing them, well, he kind of punished them. He said, you have to learn, you have to go to classes, and that turned into a whole business for at least one of the twins. So that was an exciting show, Ariana Sophia. That was one of my favorite shows where I could just see that right now. Well, we didn't really go out in the ocean. 3.5 million people within, like a couple hours saw these girls flying, going full throttle.
I have a similar story. I had a 12-foot penguin, which I recently saw in a museum as a museum piece. My father had instructed me never go out in the ocean. Of course, I listened carefully, God rest his soul, to my father, and started sailing at 9 o'clock in the morning, wound up at Anacapa Island at 8 o'clock in the evening. And my father had set boundaries and rules for me as I was sailing because he was not a sailor. He didn't understand why cloth went up in the air to propel a boat. That was completely... It was not his thing.
Well, it is confusing because, I try to explain to people why we have a keel in the bottom of the sailboat.
Well,
when
there
the
is
wind's
that.
coming a different direction,
So when I arrived back the following day, late in the afternoon, he sat me down on the dock box and he goes, the rules have changed. The first rule was, never leave the harbor. The second rule was, if you leave the harbor, tell me if you're going north and south. The third rule was, okay, you're out here, you're going to be out here. Tell me if you're going north or south and when you're going to be back. And then, of course, the final rule after sailing to Anacapa in a 12-foot boat is the rule has changed. If you go north or south, I don't care. What time you come back, I don't care. The rule has changed. I am never coming to get you. And he never did.
Uh-oh. Scared?
No, because I thought he was going to take my boat away from me. And at that moment, it gave me a huge smile because sailing is worldwide and it gave me the freedom to sail in places like New Zealand, to sail to Hawaii, to sail up and down the California coast from San Francisco to Mexico. So it propelled me into this career, a life career, to become a U.S. Coast Guard train the trainer. So I actually can train captain's licensing courses. And so I go all the way from the beginning boater, hello, welcome to a boat, all the way up to training U.S. Coast Guard captains. And I have I can provide private instruction on vessels. I can work with people, and it's just a marvelous opportunity to see people light up. And CSMMA, look up the courses. We're happy to provide any American sailing course to you through one of our affiliate schools. And watch you smile and grow into our maritime industry, and again, becoming a steward and a protector of our ocean, because of course, when we're sailing, we're not adding pollutants or engine or oils or anything like that to our environment. And let's protect our ocean by trying to remove trash. Having sailed through the Pacific Gyre and sailed through the trash in our Pacific Ocean thousands of miles offshore, we need to be stewards of our oceans.
So beginners can come to you.
Beginners can come to me.
So someone who's never even been on a boat can come out and start learning and learn the safety protocols and learn techniques and get skilled before they even go out.
And you can be on your own boat. Contact me, CSMMA. I'm happy to instruct you on your own boat so that you're safe on your own vessel or on your friend's vessel.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. It's so important when you know what you're doing. You know, some of the early things that I did, going out without a life jacket, going out without running lights, thinking I'm definitely going to come back. My first boats would not have gotten the Coast Guard sticker. So, and I think I would have been boarded. Now they're a little more vigilant. You see the Harbor Patrol, and you see the Coast Guards out there, and you see the sheriffs patrolling the marinas and all the marinas, making sure people are safe. So if you're safe, it's a fun and exciting hobby. If you're not safe, something goes wrong, you're in trouble.
The beauty that we have now through the United States Coast Guard worldwide is the AMVER system. The AMVER system means that any vessel that has commercial radio, VHF, DSC, it can provide safety. However, if you are not taking instruction and not benefiting yourself by building your knowledge and your skill level, the interesting thing is that the ocean will teach you. You will be taught, if not by an instructor. The ocean is oftentimes can be a harsh teacher, a beautiful teacher, a wonderful teacher, but it would be a lot more intriguing and you can enjoy it a lot more when you have professional instruction. So I highly recommend American Sailing, American Boating, and any of our other organizations, CSMMA, any of our U.S. Sailing or ASA affiliate organizations to provide instruction for you and your friends.
Well, I want to do a whole show on the origins, the history, and the evolution of American Sailing Association to now AS, so American Sailing and the new power boating. I want to do a whole show on that. I want to talk all about that evolution, the history, all the things they do. They're so important. I'm a member, of course, and I get their emails, and I didn't know that they transitioned, and I can now take boater classes. I have friends, all my fishermen friends, they can navigate their boat sideways. So I'm learning. I'm not that good.
The beauty of it is ASA started in 1977. They provide text. They provide in-person instruction. They provide online video instructions. They provide a myriad of instructional platforms to meet people where they're at as a beginning boater, to create them as confident, independent, knowledgeable, safe boaters. And it's an astounding organization, and I can't say enough good about it.
Well, that's exciting. We're coming to the end of the show already. I thought we had just started, so this was the second show. Thanks for coming back. And again, let's plug the website. So csmma.org. And of course, for all the people, I hope that you're getting organized and you're back in your homes. But if you're not, reach out to me, Captain Rick at theboatinghour.com, or csmma.org, or Santa Monica Windjammers Yacht Club. Wendy, thanks for coming back on the show.
And thank you so much for having me. Thank you to all the boaters out there, community members. Have a safe and healthy new year, and stay safe, stay on the water.
Well, that's all the time that we have for you today, and I hope you enjoyed our show. As always, we're so very fortunate to have such wonderful and exciting guests. So I want to thank our in-studio guests, especially for coming back today. So let's not forget the Coasties, protecting our waters, America's lifesavers and guardians of the sea. Remember, if you do it right and follow the guidelines and safety precautions, there's no place like being out in the water, fresh air and sunshine in beautiful, sunny Southern California. Don't forget to visit us on the web at theboatinghour.com. Coming up next week, all kinds of exciting stuff. This is Captain Rick and my in-studio guest, Wendy, saying ahoy in Fair Windsdall.